Oh, you're not doing your math homework in my class. Okay, so I changed the name of the chapter to from hard drives to secondary storage because I'm going to group floppy drives, which are such a little tiny itsy bitsy nothing, right? And I'm going to group CD-ROMs into this with the discussion today. And obviously, we've already talked about hard drives. So we're going to go through the ICANN self-assessment first. I can identify a ATA or PATA or IDE. On the test, you can see any of those things referring to an ATA drive, okay, or a parallel ATA drive, or an IDE interface hard drive, okay. And the difference between a hard drive and a CD-ROM that's IDE when I connect it is nothing, right? Nothing. There's no difference between an IDE hard drive and an IDE CD-ROM, okay. They all connect the same. They all have little pins or jumpers, the little jumpers that we set on the back of the drive so that we can set whether they are one of two things. That was a J. Okay. Okay, so we set the jumpers so that we can assign whether they are master or slave. Okay, so an ATA drive or an IDE drive or a PATA drive all are referred to the same way, and they are the ones with the pins. Think of the P stands for pins on PATA. Now, why would we call a PATA drive also an ATA drive? Because there was no SATA back when there was ATA. So they added the P on the PATA to turn the ATA into PATA because we had a SATA and that was confusing. Okay? So that's why when you see it somewhere, you could see it just as an ATA drive because before there was SATA, it was just ATA. Okay? But now it's parallel ATA as opposed to serial ATA. So that's how I can identify it. So the one person in this class who said they could not identify an ATA, PATA, or IDE interface hard drive, it's the one with the pins, right? So if I say I want to put in the fastest hard drive I possibly can that has the best transfer rates, is this a good drive? And I show you one with pins, the answer would be no. Okay? IDE drives transfer data at a fraction of the rate of a good SATA drive. Okay? Why do we have them? Because we do. Until they're dead. No, they're not cheaper anymore. In fact, let's talk about cheaper. Because they were. Okay? So I need new CD-ROMs in the district. We're out, okay? Okay, obviously we're not out. I need new DVD-ROMs that work better for the teachers than what I've got. And so I went to order some IDE CD-ROMs because the teacher computers have two SATA ports and a PATA port, okay? And we've already got the SATAs filled up with hard drives, so I want to put in a PATA CD-ROM. Does that hurt me, by the way, if I put in a PATA CD-ROM? Why would that not hurt me? Why does it not matter on a CD-ROM?
Because it's already slow.
It's already slow, okay? It's spinning up and reading this disk, and you cannot transfer data as slow as this sucker reads it, okay? So the fact that it's a PATA connection means nothing. So I'm looking online for brand new. Okay, obviously I don't want to put any used component in a teacher's PC. So I'm going online for brand new PATA or IDE. Yes, everyone is here.
Okay, thank you.
I am sorry.
It's okay.
Every day. Can Simpson, can you never remind me? Okay, so I go online to buy them. I go online to buy myself some new drives, some new IDE DVD-ROM drives, and let's go. And I'm going to show you what I saw. I go on. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Newegg because they had some free shipping. I don't remember why I went to Newegg originally, and in fact, I think I bought them from Amazon anyway. But let's go to Newegg and say I want to go to PC Hardware. And I want to go to, of course, I'll find it today just to make me wrong. So I want to go to CD, DVD burners because if I'm going to put one in, I might as well put a burner in there. Okay, so here is a $17 Actually, no, I did get them from there. So $17.99 SATA. But I don't want a SATA. I want a PATA because I want to use the PATA port on them. So let's see if I've got a little thing over here that says I want IDE. Oh, look, there's only one IDE burner they even make, and it is $40.99, and it's for a laptop. They don't even sell one. Crap.
Hey, Paul.
What?
Check.
What?
Double check.
Okay, I'm not worried about that. Okay, so they don't even sell one, so what's my choice?
That.
I gotta buy a SATA one. Okay, now I did look at other sites, and I could buy one for, there was one like that was like $38. Okay, so how do I solve the problem? Is there a fix, you ask? Well, yes, there is a fix. They have They have a little tiny converter that I can pop right on the back of my SATA drive. And it pops right in there.
Maybe
that
pops
Is there a pop right in
There's a
there?
piece of plastic in the way. Pops right in there, and then it turns it in to a PATA drive. And I have it freaking right there. I thought I'd try one. Works just fine. Hunky-dory. Problem, or not problem, but is the weakness of this is I got to make sure I'm really careful when I unplug and unplug stuff. Because I can't just shove it in the back and pull it out, because if I pull out the cable, I'm going to pull out the adapter as well. So, question number one, or item number one, can I tell the difference between the two kind of drives? Can everyone say yes now? Okay, now here's one thing on this. When I use this adapter, did I just bend it, or was it bent in the box?
You bent it.
I don't think I bent it. Man, that's been pretty good. All of it's been pretty good. I don't know what I was going to say is I have no idea whether this is a master or slave right now. Because this jumper doesn't have any labeling on it, it just has a jumper on it, and it doesn't say anything on the jumper. It just says J1, and there's only one place to put it. So I have no idea what that's set as, so actually I'm going to have to look. Now I'll tell you on this one, when it's by itself, it came up as master. So it's either a master setting or a cable select setting. I would have to try it on a different cable spot. And while we're talking about that, let's talk about, since I'm talking about IDE, if I have an IDE cable, how many things connect to it? Two. Okay, two things. If I connect it to the one in the middle, is it master or slave?
Slave. It doesn't matter. It's about the jumper.
Depends on how I set the jumpers, right? If I set the jumper as master, it's master. If I set the jumper as slave, it's slave. If I set the jumper as cable select, it's slave. Okay? So just so everybody understands that, when I'm looking at it, this is plugged in the motherboard, we're going to assume the blue one's in the motherboard. If I have it plugged in the middle, if it's on cable select, it's slave, and it's on the end, it's master. Okay? If I have it on master or slave, it doesn't matter where I plug it in, it's whatever I set it as. Yes? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Poole and Contentment. I'm in the computer lab. I'm very sorry to disturb you, but I have half of my computer seems to log on.
Which lab are you in?
I'm in 210.
You're in 210. Okay. I will pause my class and come right down and help.
I said log in. I mean get to the internet. Sorry about that.
Which half?
It is, as I'm looking from the back, it is on the right-hand side, the first two rows.
The big half or the little half of the room?
Big half.
The big half of the room. Okay, there's a cable unplugged that goes, here's the thing, if the back row works,
Yeah,
and then the next row doesn't,
yeah.
there's a cable that runs from the back row to the next row.
Okay, in fact, he's looking at it right
There's a
now.
switch right underneath both tables, just push all the plugs in, one of them's pulled out.
I'm losing you. I hear half of what you're saying.
One of the cables is unplugged on one of the switches under those two tables, between the back and the middle, and just have them push them all in. Okay, and let me know if it doesn't fix it. Okay.
Hey, Garrett's in that class.
Garrett's in that class?
Yeah, that's the government class.
Okay. I can't believe how much space this takes up. Okay, so I've got this Windows 7 DVD. I've removed 90% of the things that Windows 7 does on this DVD. I cut it down from 3 gig DVD to 1.5 gigs. So I removed half of the things on Windows 7. And I installed Windows 7, and it still used 8 gig of space Nothing else is installed on it other than Windows 7. Poop. That's poop.
Hey, you're still recording.
I know.
Oh,
I don't think anyone from Microsoft is listening to this. So.
Okay.
Okay, so anyways, so when I hook up these, one of them has to be master and one of them slave. What if they're both master?
Then they aren't gonna work.
They don't work, okay? Somebody has to have data control and somebody has to be submissive with the data, okay? And can I just have a slave and no master? Yes. Okay, I can. And I can have a master and no slave. Questions? Did I just confuse you or does everybody understand the IDE PATA connection? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? Okay. I can identify a SATA hard drive. So a SATA hard drive, we're easy with SATAs, right? They just have the little slot connectors on the back. The power connector looks a little different. You can have a SATA drive with the same Molex power connector like this one, the 4-pin one. You can have a SATA drive that has both. I have some SATA drives that have both kind of power connectors. The long, thin one's the power, the short one's the data cable. How many SATA things go on one cable? One. So when I'm looking at a motherboard, I really need to decide whether hard drives or SATA connections is a factor or not. This one right here only has 2. The teacher computers only have 2, which is why I have to get CD-ROMs that still have PATA connectors, because if I hook this up to the SATA, and I have the hard drive on the SATA, that's it. That's all she wrote. And I have teachers like Mr. Ferguson, okay, who has all kinds of videos from basketball. And he has a secondary SATA hard drive. He has to have a PATA DVD. Yes?
Yes, it's Ms. Tinsman again, and I'm sorry, it is still saying the network cable isn't plugged.
Okay, up into your seats, please. Okay, so where are we at? So we can identify a SATA drive. SATA drives started out slightly faster than PATA drives, and now they're much, much faster, 5 times or more faster than PATA drives on transfer. Now, the other thing is, the difference between PATA and SATA also is because they really stopped making new PATA drives. I mean, you can still buy a PATA drive, but you guys saw when who had PATA drives on their presentation? Nobody. Somebody did.
I was supposed to, and you changed it.
Because you couldn't find any new ones.
What?
No, because my motherboard didn't take PATA.
Oh, is that why? That was really that cut right there is all from that underneath that table. It was a really, really, really sharp piece of metal under there that I kept slicing my hand on again and again as I was doing that switch. It hurts. I'm gonna ooze blood if I squeeze it, but otherwise it's fine.
I
Anyway.
just to see it.
Got a boo-boo. Okay, so anyway, so SATAs have developed way more. When it comes to solid state drives, you did solid state drives?
I did.
Hey, when it comes to solid state drives, you can find a reasonable solid state drive as an IDE, okay? So we already talked about the master-slave relationship. I can install PATA hard drive correctly by setting the jumpers for the master-slave. Everybody said yes, which goes along with you understand it, okay? So the big thing, especially with a PATA drive, but you have to do it with the SATA drive as well, is once you install it, make sure you go into BIOS and it shows up the way you want it. If it takes a long time to come into BIOS, if you turn it on and BIOS just takes forever to start up, there's probably something wrong with the drive. Okay, so this drive right here, if I had this drive plugged into this computer, it would take like 3 or 4 minutes before BIOS showed up. As soon as I took this one out, put a different one in, BIOS came up just like that. Okay, so there's obviously something wrong with this hard drive or the jumpers on the hard drive. However, it does say that you need no pins if it's a single drive, which is the way it was set up. So at least according to the label, it's set up correctly. Okay, I can install SATA drive. How hard is that? I have 2 cables. The big thing is that students seem to forget is number one, make sure they're plugged into the back of the drive on all of them. This is a PATA, not a SATA. But the other thing is to make sure you reset the connection on the motherboard. Don't assume that we've been screwing around in that computer that this hasn't come loose. Whether it's a SATA or a PATA, whenever you do a drive, make sure that when you hook up the drive, you reseat the connection on the motherboard as well, because it's really easy for that to come a little bit loose and all of a sudden you've got really weird performance on your motherboard, okay? Or on your computer. I can enter BIOS CMOS to confirm, check installation. Everybody said yes. Basically, we just want to look for the hard drives. Are they where we think they should be? Now, some computers in BIOS, like this one, just automatically detects everything. If there's nothing on SATA 2, it just turns off SATA 2. Okay? This one, you have to say what's on and what's not. And if you leave something on that's not there, every single time you turn on the computer, it will say SATA 1 missing. Press F1 to continue. And the teachers, every single time they turn it on, will be going, oh, they have to hit F1. Why does this message come up? So you have to actually turn off in BIOS that channel so that it doesn't keep warning you. Okay? I can explain drive defragmentation and how to fix it. Somebody said no. Okay? So drive fragmentation. If I've got a hard drive, okay, and I've got a file on the hard drive that's contiguous, in other words, all the pieces are together, it's defragmented. If the pieces are spread out around the motherboard, around the hard drive, it is fragmented. So now if it's fragmented, when the read head's reading it, it has to go to here, and then maybe there, and then maybe to there, and then maybe to there, as opposed to it all being there. Which one's faster? Okay, if it's all together, it's faster. It's like if I took the pages out of this book and ripped them all out and said read chapter 16 and gave Jonathan the one that's still in the book and gave Mr. Ramey the one that I went around the room. Okay, Mr. Ramey's going to run around the room, find all the pages in order, and read them. It's going to take more time. Yes, it's going to take more time. So defragmented hard drive is always recommended. Okay, Windows has a tool to defragment. The tool stinks in Windows. Windows 7 tool is better. Okay, I can always go to my computer, and I can right-click on my drive and go to Properties, and I can go to Tools, and I can go to Defragment Now. Okay, that is the Windows one. And if I go and analyze this drive, it's probably terrible. We'll see here in a second. Red is bad. Red is fragmented.
Hey, could I do that to
Actually pretty good. I must be running defragmenter on it, okay? The bad thing about this Windows tool and Windows XP is you cannot schedule it easily. Can I schedule it? Yes, it requires the use of command line tools and making a batch file, and you don't want to do all that, okay? So it's mostly defragmented, okay? The other way, and the way that we do it here at National Trail normally, is we run a program that's free to download called Defragler, okay? And the nice thing about Defragler, there's a couple things. Number one, it has an easy schedule tool. If I want to schedule it, no, I don't want to download the music. If I want to schedule it, I can just click schedule, and I can say, hey, I want to schedule C once daily, whenever I can set up a schedule, and it automatically runs it however often I want it to run. Okay? Mine at home defragments every single night at 1 in the morning. Because if it defragments every single night, it never has that much to defragment. The first time you run Defragler, it could take hours and hours to run. My son's gamer system took almost a whole day to defragment. Okay, so the other nice thing about this one, if I analyze, and I'm going to hit analyze here, it shows me every single sector that's fragmented, and I can actually see what's in that sector if I want to. So as I'm looking, as soon as it's done, I can click on any one of these and know what's in that spot. Wait a second for it to finish. It's a big drive.
Clearly.
120 gig on it, so it's taking a little longer to analyze. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so I can click on our red spot, and these are all the files on that one sector that exist on that one sector. There's a lot of fragments on that sector. Okay, the other thing that I can do with Defragler is I've got this one file that's split up into 6,054 sectors. It's all over the place. I can just defragment that file. I can check that one and say, hey, I just want to defrag that one file, and it's going to go and grab, that's where all the pieces are. Look how many different places the pieces are. So it's going to go grab all those pieces and put them all together in one place. Okay, so that's a lot of pieces of that file. Now that's a huge file. In fact, I can actually delete that file. Both those top two files I can delete. They're both over a gig in size, 1.3 gig and 1.7 gig. I need to just delete that whole directory because I found a better tool. But in fact, I'm going to go ahead and stop it since I can just delete it and solve the problem that way. But now it's down to 3,316 fragmented files. Okay, so that's one of the nice things. So if I know like this one, I really need to use this one. Okay, actually I have been using that one, and I can just defrag that one file, and we'll see in yellow when it pops up. That's where the Windows XP Service Pack 3 lives now, lives all over my disk. Okay, so let's talk about why things get fragmented too, just so you understand. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Okay, so when my computer is running, Windows in particular, okay, when it's running, I've got my RAM, right? So I got my RAM, and that is
Your RAM
really
is
writing
okay.
poorly today. RAM, which is my primary storage, right? While Windows is working, it doesn't keep everything in RAM. It swaps it out to a file on the hard drive. Wow. Called a swap file. And it's continually using that swap file on the hard drive. I don't know why my menu is acting so funny. You know what? I do. Probably because I have that poster right there in the way. Because it reflects the light or something. So anyway, so it's constantly swapping memory back and forth on the hard drive. And because it's doing that all the time that I'm running, it you know, the Windows swap file all of a sudden, I am going to move that poster. So the swap file is in the way when I'm saving stuff. So it'll save some of it here, some of it there, some of it there, some of it there. Okay. So the swap file is one of the things. Now, Mac and Linux is smarter than Windows. Okay. When I go and make a hard drive on Linux, okay, when I format the hard drive, that's going to drive me crazy. It goes and sets out this whole partition, this whole section here, that's called the swap partition, and it only keeps the swap file there all the time, forever. Okay, so the rest of the drive is all free for Linux to write to. It never writes to any other part of the drive because it's got the separate partition blocked off for the swap file. So it and Mac does the same thing. So it tends to have less problems with this. The other thing is, this is all temporary anyway, right? Because whenever I restart the computer, it reuses the swap file and cleans it out. So Linux does a better job of using the hard drive. You don't have to, supposedly. There isn't even a tool on my Linux machine defrag the drive because Linux just does it as it's sitting there. Goes, well, I know you don't want this spread out in 6 million pieces or 6,000, the case is that. So if I'm doing nothing, I'll put it together for you. Okay? So that's a swap file. And that's why we want to keep it contiguous and defragmented bits of data. The last thing I want to talk about while we're on this is solid state drives. Solid state drives do not get defragmented because they don't get fragmented because they don't care. It's just memory. And if you run defragler on a solid state drive, the first thing it's going to say to you is, this is a solid state drive, you don't have to run defragmenter on it. Okay, now Windows defragmenter is not smart enough to tell you that, at least the Windows XP one will go ahead and run. I actually haven't tried it with the Windows 7 one. But you don't need to defragment a solid state drive because it's just memory, and yes, it may not be right next to each other, but it doesn't really matter because it can just go like this when it pulls information. It just goes, ah! Whereas a hard drive, because of that spinning head You guys saw the picture of it, that little head when you watch that Air video and you watch the head clacky, clacky, clack. Everybody watch that?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. That head has to actually move to the spot on the hard drive. There's no such thing on a solid state drive. It just goes, yeah, I'll take that. Okay. So solid state drive, first of all, can it transfer data any faster across this cable, a solid state drive? No. The transfer rate is the transfer rate is the transfer rate. This cable goes so fast. If it's a SATA 1 or a SATA 2 or a SATA 3 port, it goes as fast as that port goes. So the transfer of data does not happen faster on a solid state drive. It's the finding, the accessing, and the reading of the data that happens so much crazy faster, 10 times faster at least, on a solid state drive than on a spinning drive. Which is why solid state drives are crazy faster than a traditional IDE drive. But they're also a lot more expensive. Who had one of the least expensive options on a hard drive? Who had that as their presentation? How much did your hard drive cost?
$63.99
For
for
how-
a green drive.
For how big?
59. Wait,
Size
terabytes.
in
Oh, 1
gigabytes.
terabyte.
Okay, so 1 terabyte drive was $59. Okay, let's do math.
Not bad.
Hey,
I
all
found
right,
it
well,
terrible.
1 terabyte
25,000.
is 1,000 gigabytes. We'll do it in gigabytes since that's really a good. $59, and that equals. Someone do my math for me, so I don't have to. No one's going to do that. Okay, so I put a 1 here, right?
you can still do it for them real quick.
Somebody do it with a calculator, so I don't have to do the math on the board.
It would be like
Mr. Forrest,
5
my
cents.
car.
16.9.
Oh, I'm doing it backwards, though. Anyways, so it'd be $59 divided by 1,000. So we're paying. Is that right? A nickel a gig?
That's what I just said, 5 cents.
So 5 cents a gig.
Well, technically 6 cents.
So this was bad math anyways. It should be 59 divided by 1,000. Okay, so we're paying for a traditional drive. We're paying 5 cents
6
per.
cents.
Okay, 6 cents. We're rounding. 6 cents per gigabyte, right? So on your solid state drive, Jonathan, how big was that?
800 gigabytes.
800 gig?
800 gig.
Oh, we're gonna do really bad math on this one, aren't we? So because okay, let's do the calculator. And how much does yours cost?
$4,000, I think.
800
one. It's a PCI one. It's a good one.
divided by 4,000. That's not right.
20 cents.
Yeah, 20 cents. 20 cents per gig. That's still not right.
I found another one that's $12,500.
No, if it was
I don't
800, it would be $800.
Hold on. You're fine.
My math is wrong.
I did not do that.
How much?
No, I
Mine's
said
better
I thought you
value.
had-
$5
You only had a 3.0.
per gigabyte. Okay, so $5 per gig. So how much? Let's say this is 5 cents. Let's make our
$1
math
fine,
easier.
$1
So how much more expensive is it?
A lot.
Almost
Well,
100 times.
6 versus 500. So if this was a 5, it'd be 100 times more expensive. Okay, I'm rounding. So it's 80 to 100 times more expensive. Holy cow!
But mine is also
Holy what?
incredibly fast.
Holy cow! So yeah, you got a really expensive one. Most of the time, you're looking at $1 per gigabyte, which is still 20 times more expensive for the least expensive one.
Sometimes it's 6 cents.
So, yeah, so we're still talking way more expensive, okay? 20 times more expensive or more for a solid state drive. So why don't we all have solid state drives?
Because they're friggin' expensive.
Because we don't have that much money.
Oh, I found one that's $12,000.
Okay.
Well, that's outrageous. And
Now,
it'd be like a
I will
terabyte.
tell you on some of the solid state drives, they don't have to connect through this.
What do they connect through?
The fastest solid state drives
37.
plug directly into an expansion slot on my motherboard, and they avoid the SATA data throughput limit because they're going through the PCI Express slot. So that's even faster when that happens, okay? Wow, we have multiple interruptions today. Interruption number 5.
And interruption 2 by the same person.
Really? Hold on.
I think that actually works out fine.
Came up
I
and
think it's
interrupted
number
my class.
4.
Why isn't it working? Because the
No,
light
it's been
comes on
twice.
for me.
Him twice now. There might have been one more.
Oh no,
That's it.
yeah.
There you go.
I will give you another one right now.
You may enter.
And if it wasn't that urgent, what was the point of interrupting my class?
Yeah, Nick.
You can
That
ask
hurts
him
your
that when you
problem.
go back downstairs.
You're
If I
on
don't need
video.
it right now, then why did you interrupt Mr. Poole's class? That's what he wants to know.
And then he's gonna call up here.
Yeah.
Put it on do not disturb.
Yeah, put it on.
I'm just saying, why would you interrupt my class and then say, really don't need it right now?
Because he really does, but he just doesn't want you to know that.
I don't think that's what it is. I bet you it's his docking station. Since the light comes on, it's very unlikely that it doesn't work. I've never had one with the light come on that didn't work. That's the point of the little light. Okay, so, sorry, we're off on tangents now. I don't even know where I was.
We were talking about why we don't have solid state drives.
Okay, so that was the end of the solid state drive talk. Okay, because solid state drives are all memory and there's no spinning head, there's no reason to make them big. So almost every solid state drive is a 2.5 inch form factor, and this is 3.5 inches. That's important because I'm going to have a question in the test that says something like, is this a good hard drive for my desktop? And it's got to be 2.5 inches. And you're going to say no, unless it's a solid state drive, because I just said they all come in 2.5 inches, right? So if I get a solid state drive, I have to get a adapter for it to fit in, because there is no slot in my PC that takes a little tiny drive like this. Now I will tell you, I think that's coming. I think soon on cases they're going to have a solid state drive spot, because they are coming down in price. At $1 a gigabyte, this 60 gigabyte drive was 60 some bucks. They're getting within the range of acceptable, because I can't get a drive much less than 60 bucks anyway. So if I don't care about drive size, and do I care about drive size? No, as long as it's 40 gig, I'm happy. Okay, so if I don't care about drive size, if I spend $60 on the 60 gig versus $60 on a 800 gigabyte SATA drive, which one would I rather have? I'd rather have this one, because it's the same price, and you guys are keeping all your stuff on the network anyway, right? So if size is not a factor, then I'm going to go with speed. So that's why I'm buying those and replacing the teacher ones with those. Okay, so secondary storage includes hard drives, includes CD-ROMs, which I just said can hook up exactly the same way. Okay, when I say CD-ROM, I say CD-ROM because I'm talking about all optical drives. Let's talk about what are the different kinds of optical drives I can have.
CD-ROM.
That was it.
CD-ROM.
Because as soon as I took that off, I'm working good now. So I got optical drives, I got CD-ROMs, which use the original CD-ROM, and while I'm talking about that, they came with a speed of X. Okay, we're going to call the original speed X, and all speeds of CD-ROMs are rated off of X. Okay, what is X? I have no idea, but when you get a CD-ROM, it'll say something like 54X, or 48X, or writes at 16X. That means 16 times faster than the first CD-ROM that came out. What is that speed? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay? That's like saying the original car drove at 1 mile an hour, and now we drive at 60x. Yes, it's 60 miles an hour, which is 60 times faster than 1 mile an hour, but I really know what 1 mile an hour means. Yeah, I know it means 1 mile per hour, but I mean, in my head, does it really matter? I know I'm going 60 times faster than 1. So, do I really need to know what this number is? No, but when I go to buy one, I know 54x is faster than 16x. Just saying. Okay? They don't read and write at the same speed. It'll say 54 times read, 16 times write. My DVD burner in my computer burns at 9x.
The original CD-ROM ran at 150 kilobytes per second.
Okay, there we go. And then x is multiples of times faster than that. So when you see whatever x is saying that much faster than the original.
I think she's dying.
I don't know. I'm gonna start throwing things at her. Oh, she can see.
Just drop her right.
Okay, so just so you know, and when I look at a DVD-ROM, it's 4x, 6x, 8x, whatever, off of the original DVD-ROM that came out. And when I see DVD RW, it means
Rewritable.
read write, okay? So a DVD-ROM can only read, a DVD-RW can read and write.
What's the plus minus thing?
Okay, it's a good question, plus minus thing. It's a beta VHS problem.
Right?
You know what I'm talking about? You're not old enough.
I know
Okay,
what it is.
so back
We
when,
all know what a VHS
Back-
No
is.
beta.
but you don't know what beta is.
Beta, no,
Okay.
but we all know what a
So
VHS
back
is.
when these started coming out,
It's a queen.
when we started having these, there were two kinds of tapes. There was a beta tape and a VHS tape. We're like, crap, which one do you buy? We didn't know, because you could get either one. You get a beta machine or a VHS machine. And movies came out as beta and VHS. You had to decide, which
So
one am I
it's-
going to buy?
so it's
Which one
basically
won?
like the
VHS,
old-
you guys all know what VHS is, but nobody knows what beta is, right?
So basically what you're saying is it's the old DVD versus Blu-ray.
No, not the same at all. That was not a good comparison whatsoever.
Because
Beta and VHS were exactly the same. Okay? They were just taped versions of movies, and VHS ultimately won, and Beta went away, never to be seen again. Okay? So when it comes to DVD, we have DVD plus R's and DVD minus R's. One of them is a Sony one. I don't even know which one. Okay? So your burner, if you get a burner, your burner could be plus, minus, or plus minus. Okay? So when I need to know which one mine is. So it'll say DVD RW minus R, DVD RW plus R. If I get the wrong kind, they don't work. I can't burn to them. So if you have a DVD burner and every time you burn, the DVDs don't work right, it could be because you have the wrong one. Okay? All these say DVD
Minus R.
minus R. These are all minus R's. Okay? They could have easily said DVD plus R on them. That's a plus minus burner. I don't care. Okay? But we have some burners that were only plus or only minus. So somebody buys one and all of a sudden they don't work, and guess who gets them? I get them all because I didn't buy this. Okay? Because I got a plus minus burner. And most new burners are plus minus burners. I don't even know if it says on this one. Let's see. Just says DVD writer.
What was the one you put in the
It says
library?
multi-recorder. I have no idea. In Miss Derringer's, I don't know, but I'm going to put this one in there now. I think that's what her
It's
problem
still
is.
broken.
I don't think it's broken. I think she has the wrong kind of media for her burner because we tested it and it burned just fine. And then when she goes to use it, it doesn't work. So an immediate response of mine is you probably have the wrong data, because if we tested it down here and it worked, that's all it could be, is that you buy pluses, your burner takes minuses, my burner doesn't work.
Because it wasn't even reading the discs
Okay.
that she got.
I don't know, but that's why I bought these in the first place, so I could put a brand new one in and never hear from it again. Okay?
That won't happen.
So, I mean, at least about that one thing. Because every time we do it, we've tested them, and they've worked just fine down here. So if I put a brand spanking new one in and hear anything about it, I will just close the work order and ignore it. So anyway, so that's the plus minus thing. Now, I will tell you, once I burn and close it, it doesn't matter for a reader. They all become the same when I'm finished. Because when I'm burning a DVD, and I'll show you, I'll open it up a DVD session here. Okay, so if I go and open this session to burn, one of my options is to finalize the CD. If I don't finalize the CD, theoretically, I could add stuff to it. If I finalize it, and no further writing possible, and I close it out, it should be able to be read by anything, any DVD reader. So if I'm burning a movie, I always want to finalize it so that it'll work in my DVD player at home. Because if I don't finalize it, it may not. Older ones don't work if they're not finalized. if you bought it in the last year or two, it probably works no matter what. Okay, but that was one of the things that didn't work in the beginning. And you can see my write speed says 52x, but as soon as I put in a DVD instead of a CD, it drops down to 2.4x. So it's writing obviously much slower, and that's it. So 1x it says is at 1,385 kilobits per second, or kilobytes per second, sorry. And then the maximum is,
Surprised you didn't get on him for that.
I said I switched
saved
myself
himself. He saved
too
himself.
too fast. So anyway, too fast. I fixed myself very quickly. Okay, so questions about anything that we've gone over. I will tell you, you're going to do some shopping on the test. Okay, you're going to do some, hey, will this work with this motherboard? Hey, I'm looking at this, and it's going to be easy. You're going to go, hey, it's a PATA. I don't want any PATA slots in this motherboard. Or it's a SATA. There's no SATA slots in this motherboard. Something as simple as that. Okay. It doesn't take that long.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Easy, easy peasy. Anybody have any questions on anything we've gone over? Those things that you need to know are pretty much in this nice little book that I made here for you, okay? Like, what is the difference between latency and seek time, which is one of the things that came up during the presentation together. Everything that's possible, pretty much, that I'm going to ask you on the test on Friday is already in this Moodle book set up for you. So if you haven't read it for a while, I would reread it before the test on Friday,
That won't.
because it may not be available on Friday.
Still won't happen.
It might be hidden.
You wouldn't do that.
Yes, he would.
That's
Yeah.
joking.
Okay, but anything in your notes obviously is good. So if it's in your notes, you're good. So I really like this book thing. How did you guys like this? And did you guys try it on your tablets? Does it work on your tablet?
Do you really think we use our tablets?
I don't.
I
I'm
don't.
not sure where mine is.
My tablet.
The only time I use my tablet.
Do I need to take tablet attendance today?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I literally took my tablet home to charge it like you told me to, and now I don't know where it is.
Wait, you literally took it home as a